Good morning, Flagler County. This is Danielle Anderson, your host of Lifeline, the radio show connecting you to positivity here in our community. And we have the first ladies of Flagler County in the studio this morning. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So for folks who don't know, we have Ms. Suzanne Johnston. She is our former tax collector, really just extraordinaire, and her best friend and sister, Kathy. Thanks for being here. I know it was short notice, and talking about moms is going to be super fun today.
You know, my mother, Mama and Daddy had 4 kids, and so I was the second child in the line, but I was the middle daughter. So let me just tell you right now, if Kathy says anything ugly about me, it's because I'm the middle child, and everybody knows the middle child was the wild one.
But the rules didn't apply to the youngest child.
I can only imagine what you got away with. So, Suzanne, for people who haven't met you, can you give them a little bit about your history and who you are?
I have always lived here in Flagler County. When I came home from the hospital, we lived in Corona, and then when I was, 7th, 8th grade, ninth grade, we moved to Flagler Beach, and that's where I grew up, got married, lived at Flagler Beach for a short time, then moved to Bunnell. So I'm a native Flagler County person.
And how did you get into working with the tax collector's office?
Well, whenever I got back from my honeymoon, that was in 1970, a man came to the car window and said that my husband said I would start to work on Monday. So I started there in the property appraiser's office, ended up working a total there of 34 years, ran for tax collector, and I was tax collector for 20 years, and I have retired. And it is just wonderful because I stay in my pajamas all day long.
Love it. That's amazing. So, Kathy, how about for you? For folks who haven't met you, I know you have a really fun history, too.
I was born and raised here. All 4 of us kids were born at Halifax Hospital.
Nice.
And then I was in 7th grade when we moved to Flagler Beach from Corona. Therefore, I know she was in 9th grade since she's 2 years ahead of me. So, and grew up at the beach, which we enjoyed that. Married, had 2 kids, divorced, and then I married the love of my life in 1980, and he moved me to Georgia. And then we've been back down here for 10 years, and to help when Mama was alive, and because it was all on Ann. So, I'm glad to be home.
And I know you did some amazing work with the Shriners, too, right?
Warren was potentate in 2003 of Ailey Shrine in Savannah. And it's quite an accomplishment. And after that, he was on the Board of Governors of the Tampa Shrine Hospital for 9 years. Wow. And he recently passed away in November. So it's been an adjustment for me. But when you go through something like that in life, and what keeps coming through my head is that I reflect back on Mama. And she has always said, you play the hand you're dealt. No matter what hits you in life, you play that hand that you were dealt. You don't feel sorry for yourself. You don't wallow in self-pity. You always look for the bright side. And there is always a bright side. You may have to dig real deep for it, but you will find it. And in this case with Warren passing, because it was very, very difficult, he's up there, he's fishing and hunting with his dad and his brother and my brother, and he's doing that 24/7, and he's happy. The other bright side is I have the closet all to myself, and I don't have to share it anymore. So, and I know he's happy, and he's fine with that. So, but it keeps going back to Mama, and I'm living my life to make my mother proud because she had such a huge impact. And we always called her the queen of etiquette. So everything I do, it's like, what would Mama do? So, Yeah, that's me.
And you guys, I mean, I've known you over the years, and your mother has always been kind of like this role model, this,
Yeah.
she's on not
Prim
just on
and
a pedal.
proper.
Yeah, not just on a pedestal, but just really kind of the epitome of what so many women would strive to be. What are some of the lessons that you remember from her?
Mama always said, always act like a lady. And that's what I've tried to do.
And
Well,
wear
at least
clean
the
underwear
part-
when you go somewhere because you never know if you're going to be in a car accident. You want to have clean underwear on.
It's so important.
That was Grandmother League that always said, wear clean underwear in case you have to go to the hospital.
So talk a little bit about your mom and when you guys were growing up, what was it like? Because the idea of motherhood has changed over the years as society has changed. What was it like growing up with her and your generation?
You had I was going to say you had the respect for your parents, but my kids listened to me. They still listen to me. Well, at least they act like they listen to me. Yes, I should qualify that. I think it's the same in my family. My parents knew that I loved them. I know that my kids love me. I know that if I was in a situation, my son is going to save me first.
That's
He
deep.
really will. My daughter, I don't know.
Oh, she would, Susie.
But my son definitely would save me first. What about you, Kathy?
Growing up, Mama she never catered to us kids, and we had to entertain ourselves and encouraged to do that. And we played together, and those days we didn't have the electronics and stuff. So we created fun things for us to do. So they took us traveling. We did a lot of camping with
wow.
Mom and Daddy. And they provided us a lot of experiences without spending money. With having 4 children, it gets pricey.
Right.
And Daddy always did the cooking and Mama the cleaning up. But just Washington, D.C., the Everglades, all Alexander Springs, Juniper Springs, and we slept in a tent.
I love that.
And had to sleep on the blow-up air mattresses that you would use in a swimming pool. That was our bed. But we all had a job. We all had chores. And even at home, Mama could take a 2x2 piece of paper and there'd be 10 things on it for us to do. And there'd be 4 sheets of paper. And we had to do those jobs as being a family member before we could go off and play. So with raising my children, they had to help. I'm not the maid. And they have to, if you're going to be a family member, do your part to be a member of the family.
So you kind of brought those same values down.
Yes, to raise my kids. And now I'm telling my grandchildren. And my son calls me every day at 5 o'clock to check on me. And Angela, my daughter lives locally, and she's phenomenal with me. And I'm trying not to get emotional talking about this. But they instill things in their children, the same things that have applied to us growing up. Family is important.
You know, motherhood is one of the greatest things in life that you have. That would be awful not to have the kids and the memories of our mother, and the same thing as my kids are going to have the memory of me. Motherhood is the greatest thing.
And it's not easy, and kids don't come with a rule book either or a manual of how to raise them. But we were very fortunate to have had Mama for 92 years.
It's incredible. And the respect that you always paid to her, I thought was just so admirable.
Well, we had our moments. I mean, she was not an angel, and we did girls' trips with her. And and because there'd be 6 of us girls, and we'd be in 2 rooms. And Ann and I always shared with Mama, well, she'd have stuff scattered all over and then move something. Didn't know where it would be, didn't know what it was, but she knew she moved it, and she didn't know where it was. So it was at times challenging, but Danielle, the love ran so deep. You just find the humor in it and just keep going.
So what are some of the things you wrote down on your notepad?
Oh my goodness. I got up this morning and I was thinking about mothers, and to me, a mother is to nurture and guide us to make the right decisions and to know the difference between the right and wrong, and to be strong and to be self-sufficient. And we didn't always listen growing up, which is typical, I'm sure. But the things that we have learned, we've taken those to teach our own kids. And enjoy life, have fun, enjoy being together wherever you are. And you have to laugh going through life because there's so much depression out there. You've got to laugh. And even if you're the only one around, laugh and find the humor.
It kind of goes back to finding that bright side,
Yes,
looking for that.
it goes parallel with that bright side. You just have to do that. It comes from within. And I live my life to make my mama proud, and my daddy, of course, and Warren. But and back to you don't dwell. Don't feel sorry for yourself. The last time I had a pity party, that was probably a year ago, I ordered myself 4 pair of shoes on Amazon. So I try not to do that often, to have a pity party.
Well, you call me next time because I think we could all put together a fun pity party.
What I wrote down was, no matter how many years goes by since they passed away, you still think, let me call Mama and tell her that. And no matter how long that they're gone, they're still a major influence in your life, simply by the lessons, the way they did things, their behavior, things that they would say. And so it really does. They say time heals, but you really never forget.
No, you never forget.
And how do you find when you're going through your day-to-day, do you find yourself ever doing things the same way she did, like maybe laying out your coffee service or the way you sit at the table or...
Setting the table, because Mama was the queen of etiquette, and things had to be just so. I mean, the fork had to be on the left, had to be so far away from the plate, the knife on the right with the blade facing the plate. She made us conscious of the right way to do things, and we have followed through with that and have taught our girls that.
And I have flat turned into my mother. Very, very much like Mama. Even
Mama's been reincarnated to Amy.
It's like she's owning it. She's like, I am here.
She talks, she acts, and she walks like Mama.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
so, you know,
Yes.
even to the extent that Mama would always bang herself or hit herself and your skin gets thin. Look, Danielle, at my legs.
Oh, my goodness.
That was just this week. I thought I'd carry all the grocery bags in at one time. So
Her new
of
name
course
is
I
Grace.
fell.
I
yeah.
need to wrap herself in Charmin.
But even if I have turned into my mother, what a nice thing to do.
It's a
because
compliment.
we have a great deal of respect
We do.
for Mama.
We do.
So we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to talk about the future generations and what may be missing in society that they need to learn. So we'll be right back.
Okay.
Break. Have a sip of water.
Was that too wild?
Is that what you're wanting?
I think that's fabulous. Yeah. Well, you're sharing it all with everybody. And just remember, this is on still. So Facebook Live, they can hear us.
But are we
Oh, yeah.
are we doing what you want?
Yeah, dude, I want it to be about people understanding moms and some of those sweet traditions and things that have been so important in our lives. So, are you ready? All right. So, we're back with Suzanne and Kathy, and we're talking about like what it means to be a mom and why moms are so important, and special things that moms have instilled in us over the years. And, as we see children kind of growing up in single parent homes or foster homes, things like that, these traditions are kind of lost. So, how do you think that we can kind of bring them back into society where, kids can embrace those special things about moms?
I've been married 55 years, so my kids were not raised in a split home. But my husband worked long hours, and I was the disciplinarian in the family. Um, and it's hard, like Kathy said, they don't come with a rule book. All you can do is the best that you can do. And as a parent, you make mistakes. Absolutely. Nobody is perfect. And that's fine. It's just hard in general because of the cell phones, the social media, all of that is happening in today's world. My kids are in their 40s. One of them's bumping 50. But the grandkids, I can see a difference in them than I can in my children when I ended up raising them. You just don't have the respect for the parents nowadays as much. So, I mean, the respect is there, but they're more self-centered than what we were. And maybe it was because we had to get along with other people because you didn't have anything else to do except play with these kids. And so everybody had to get along and be congenial and friendly and all of that, where today, nowadays, it is more isolated.
How do you think we can kind of change that? I mean, technology is here to stay, but, we forget that being able to work with other people is really important.
How can you change that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just going to get worse. Some stuff is sitting out there that hadn't even been invented yet, that this next group of kids is going to tie them all up. And so I don't know that there is something that you can do.
Bright side, let's have it, Kathy.
Well, there's always a bright side with me. I feel that when you have children, and I have 2 children, I have 4 grands and 2 great-grandchildren. Wow. But I feel family time is important. And yes, everybody's busy during the day, but if you can have dinner together and sit around the table together and hash things out and share with each other, not have the phone sitting right there, but have that family time. Also, to be involved with your kids, be involved with their school. Everything's computerized with the schools, but right. You check up behind your children, see what their grades are, build that rapport with the teachers, because you want them to succeed. You don't always need a college education. Everybody doesn't need that. And a college degree, because there are trade schools and other things they could do. But kids need to feel good about themselves, and you've got to build that self-esteem up and being interested in what they're doing and what they're learning, regardless of what it is, that helps. So,
that's some really good advice.
Something that I like to do is take a vacation to where it is either me or my husband and I, we're going, and then my children and their children, so it's totally multi-generational, and they help me. You'd think I was 100 years old, the way they hold my arm and help me walk or carry my luggage or whatever the case may end up being. But I think that's important, and it goes back to what you say, family time together. And it helps them be compassionate for the older people.
Because they'll be there one day too, and they'll want their children to help them.
So what do we say to kids who are listening, or younger people that are even in their 30s or 40s, and they haven't spoken to their parents for quite some time, or they don't call their mother every week or whatever? How can they kind of reconnect, and what's that road look like?
The phones go both directions. If my children
It's a two-way street.
don't call me, and I talk to both of them almost every single day.
Wow.
But if they didn't call me, there's no reason my finger's not broken. I can pick up the phone and call them. And so you have to make an effort both ways.
People do what they want to do. That's the bottom line.
Right.
They do. So you can't force somebody to do something.
Yeah, but sometimes it's like, oh, I just get busy. But then once you get in the routine of talking to your mom again, talking to your dad again, suddenly you're just like, oh, I don't think I talked to them today. Let me give them a call real quick, So you kind of get in that habit of talking to them, and then you want to talk to them more often, right?
Even if it's to call me on the phone and say, how many minutes do I cook this? It's nothing major most of the times they're even calling and talking to me about, but it is making that contact.
That's awesome.
See, with Matt calling me every day at 5 o'clock yesterday, I rode to Jupiter to help Angela move Austin from one dorm to another for the summer. That's our very smart grandchild. And on the way home, it got to be 10 after 5, and Matt hadn't called. So I called him at 20 after and said, you still love me? But he said I hadn't called because I knew you were with Angela all day.
That's awesome.
But I missed that call if he doesn't call. So I just rely on that. So that's why I called him.
So what is the number one piece of advice you would give to a mom who just wants to reconnect with her kids?
A hug goes a long way. And I love you goes a long way. And you never know when today is going to be your last day. So you make every day count. You always look for the best. You always do a good deed every day. That's been my thing, a good deed for somebody every day. Even if it's just opening the door for someone, but with your family, you let them know you love them and that you're thinking of them. They always say if I'd had my grandkids first, I wouldn't have had any kids. But my kids are fabulous, and I'm very fortunate to have them in my life.
Isn't Kathy such a nice lady?
And I know that Mama loved us kids. And, can I tell the story about how I was not planned?
You go for it.
Mama and Daddy had 3 kids, boom, 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 1 year apart. So after my brother was born, Daddy had a vasectomy. So then 2 months later, Mom ended up pregnant with me. Her words, she was madder than a hornet's nest. Now, I was 29 years old when I found out this story. So they were going to give me away to Daddy's sister and her husband because they could not have children. But the longer during the pregnancy, Mama decided to not give me up and to keep me. So as soon as I was born, she had her tubes tied, and Daddy went back and got the $100 back for the vasectomy. So the whole time Mama was sick with her last few years, and I was 24/7 taking care of her. Often I reminded her, aren't you glad you kept me? And she said, yes, I'm glad I kept you.
Oh, my gosh. You just never know when it's going to all work out.
It does. She was glad she kept me.
Oh.
But family is important, Danielle, and make every moment count. That's the thing.
That's so sweet. And Suzanne, anything from you? Last words of advice?
I'm your favorite sibling, right?
You say I'm the favorite?
I'm saying I'm your favorite sibling. No, you weren't the favorite child. I was the favorite child.
Kathy can be so mean. Nice lady, but she can be mean.
She makes a mean pound cake too. Woo!
You know, you make the good memories, you remember the good memories, and don't focus on anything that wasn't good. But that's going to get you through the problems, and the life without the person is the actual memory. You know, my kids know I just absolutely adore them. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have my two kids.
Yeah.
Good thing I don't have to choose between the kids and the husband. but, but yeah, it's life would be very sad without having children, without having the memories of your mother. And so you really need to appreciate what you've got, what your memories are, appreciate your family. And when you're gone, you want to have that lasting impression on your kids, your grandkids.
You want them to say good things about you, like we've said about Mama.
Yes, very, very true. And Danielle, what about you? What is your goal to leave? What do you want to leave in your kids' memory?
Well, hopefully that no matter what happens, you can get through it, you can do it, and you can be successful. And that it always comes back to loving each other and being there for one another, because you are a unit. You know, we're a team.
That's right.
And this is our team. So, yeah. My final kid just graduated from college on Monday, and you know, it's like, oh, I'm done being a mom now. I'm over it, but it's still like you never stop being a mom. You're always gonna be a mom.
Yeah, look at how old my kids are, and I am still the mother, and I'm right there for them, and I'm going to be the first one to dive in and help them with whatever they need help.
And Angela's most 55, and I still call her my baby girl.
See?
And Matt's my baby boy, and he's 52. So you once a mother, always a mother.
Well, we want to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. And if you haven't talked to your mom in a while, or your grandmother, give them a call and just say, I love you. Thank you for everything. And I want to thank you both for coming in and being here and sharing your stories.
Thank you for having us,
Thank
Danielle.
Are you kidding? That's amazing.
And happy Mother's Day to you.
You too. And we want to thank WNZF News Radio, Flagler News Weekly, the Vigilante Philanthropists, Massage by Natalie and Company, and also our Benjamin Moore Paint Store here in Palm Coast for sponsoring the show. And everybody, please have